everybody, Scout Crafty here again. Mishmash Monday. How was your weekend? I can guarantee it was short, right? Especially for you guys working out there. It's rough, man. You know, those 2 days, they come and go so fast. And you also got so many things to do. One thing I could tell you about retirement, and I know the other retired guys will probably agree with me. After about a year of retirement, you're going to wonder, how did you get so much stuff done while you still worked? Because even, you know, when you're retired, you get up, you do a few things, and you say, man, I used to work 8 hours a day and do this stuff. And now it's like I struggle just to get the lawn mowed and all the other stuff I have to do. So don't worry, it's coming, and look forward to it. It's a lot of fun. Because today is Mishmash Monday, we got a good mosh going on. We got a lot to talk about, all different subjects. Let's get right into it. Next up, if you remember a couple weeks ago, we did this beautiful, just absolutely beautiful screwdriver, and it's got the big blade like, you know, like we like. And a couple people were saying, you know, when do you use something like this? You know, a lot of people use this as a pry bar or whatever, but you got to remember, years ago, screws like this were very common in different constructions. Now they've done away with pretty much slotted screws, except for when you're doing period work or period restoration. I happen to like the look of a slotted screw. I never like the look of a Phillips screw. A torque's okay, but you can't, if you're making furniture or something, or building a box that you want to look vintage, you can't put Phillips screws, or you can't put torque screws. You have to go with the period right screw. So you can see here, this is exactly what this screwdriver was meant for. You see how that fits in there? This is a perfect example of what this screw, you know, would you, now again, any other screwdriver wouldn't fit. So that's why there were so many different size slotted screwdrivers, because there used to be so many different size slotted screws. Okay, next up, I told you this was going to be a big mosh. We got a lot going on, but you see this here? Now, you know these kind of fold-out rulers, the ones that fold out. And I got to tell you something. I never really liked these, but there were guys that swear by them. You know, professional carpenters, guys like that learned with them, that use them all the time. You know, they love them, but I never did. But however, I saw one of these and on my buddy James, who was Time Flies in the Shop, his channel, and James had one of these, and I said I had to get one. And see, that happens with me too. I know sometimes you say I feature a tool and then you want to go out and buy it. I'm the same way. If I see somebody, you know, do a nice feature of a tool, I go out and pick one up. So I picked this out on eBay. And what's so interesting about this, it doesn't fold open like your standard ruler. It slides out, and how you do it is you just push this out like this, you see, until it locks in. You hear it lock in, and once it locks in, you do the same thing here. You want to open it up, you push this out like this, and it extends like that, you see, instead of clipping. So I thought that was really interesting, because I've never seen one of these as a kid. And, you know, we always had those folding rules. And to close it, now it'll stay open. To close it, you just press that little detent there, and it slides back ever so nicely. It's made of boxwood. It's a, you know, a fantastically made ruler, but I'm surprised, you know, I always wonder why these weren't as popular as the other ones, because I think that it's just beautiful, you know, the way that works, the way this slides in and out. It's so smooth and locks out, and you can see here the numbers, how they just continue like it wasn't even open. Very interesting, right? And tell me if you've ever seen one of these or used one, especially if you guys that like the folding rules. Or I wonder why these never became popular. And you can see the patent dates on there and how old this ruler goes back. So very interesting. And James, thanks for showcasing that on your channel. You know, ever since I made this lamp, the one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to film it with that David Bowie song in the background, you know, Ground Control to Major Tom. I just thought it'd be so cool. But darn it all if you don't get a copyright strike or something like that. But just imagine that song playing while you see this lamp blasting off into space. Okay, next up, we have a beautiful day. Again, a double flag Monday. Just an absolutely beautiful day, and blue skies, wonderful day. But I have a story to tell you about yesterday, having to take a trip to Manhattan. Okay, so I had to go to Manhattan yesterday to do a little moving, and you know, I haven't been to Manhattan in probably 5 or 6 years, and that was only to bring my mom to a doctor at that time. And I have to tell you, it is Manhattan. It has gone, it was always bad, but it is worse than ever. It's just disgusting. If you have on your bucket list to come to Manhattan, if you live anywhere else in the country, please move that way down on the list. This is not a place you are going to enjoy. It is filthy. It is dirty. Every place, everywhere you look, it's just horrible. And you know what's funny? I mean, there are a few spots like the Intrepid or the Empire State Building on this Statue of Liberty some people want to see. And right around that area, they keep it clean and whatever because, you know, tourists and whatever. But if you anywhere else, because you have to park somewhere or you have to travel, it's horrible. It's horrible. And now they rent these bicycles out that, you know, anybody could rent a bike out and take. So you got all these amateurs on bicycles riding around. It's people getting hit by cars. Do you remember the movie Escape from New York, 1981? Kurt Russell and Adrienne Barbeau. Remember Adrienne Barbeau, you know? Remember Adrienne Barbeau? We always had, when we were younger, you know, we all had a crush on her. My girlfriend thinks I only like her for 2 reasons. And probably those 2 reasons are she's a brunette and she's a good actress. But actually, that movie is very close to what it should be now. They should just fence that whole island off and let it just go the way it is. It's nuts. Manhattan is nuts, filthy. And you know what's so funny? When you're there for a couple hours, you get this grunge on you. You know, like what I'm talking about, you know, you ever been by the ocean, you know, or go swimming in the ocean and after a long day on the beach, you feel like you just want to get home and take a shower because you got this kind of film on you. It's the same exact thing with Manhattan, only it's not a good film. It's like you just want to get home and just sterilize yourself. I don't know how people live there. It's just unbelievably horrible. But one good thing we did was we stopped by Tom's Restaurant. Now, although you're probably saying, a lot of you are saying, Tom's Restaurant, never heard of that, but you might have heard of it. And I'll show you what Tom's Restaurant looks like here. And now you could see, you know, where it came from. Yeah, that was the original restaurant from Seinfeld, the outside anyway. And it was actually pretty good, so enjoyed that. But man, I'll tell you, stay away from Manhattan. Do not come here. Horrible place. Filthy. Did I mention that? Okay, let's see what's next up. Remember I was telling you that because of the floods here, people are cleaning out and purging everything in their basements and whatnot. I saw this by a house, and they recently did landscaping where they ripped out all their bushes and stuff, and I said, you know what? I bet you this works. Because I bet you it wasn't underwater, but either way, I put on my furnace for a week just to, if it did get wet, it would dry out. But I said, there's something, these things never die. These are really good. They were made by Black & Decker for Craftsman. You could see here, it's a hedge trimmer. And the only thing it seems to be missing is one nut and bolt here. Now you can see they use a nut and bolt, and on the bottom, they do a little crisscross here and expand the nut. I'll show you that in a minute so that it doesn't wiggle free like that one did. But I'm going to replace that nut. I tested it real quick. It works. I'm going to clean it up and then show you. Okay, we found a suitable bolt and nut replacement. And you can see here what we did is we cut a little slot here to act as a mechanical fastener, like a thread locker. And what we'll do is when we place this in, we'll just separate that slot, opening up the edge so that this nut cannot slide off because there's a lot of vibration on that sickle bar. Okay, we're calling this project done. What a beautiful little hedge trimmer. These things, like I said, I have one of my own that I think is maybe an inch bigger. It's just a little bit wider, but it says Black & Decker. They made these in the 70s, the double insulated. They last forever. The thing is, the key to maintaining your hedge trimmer is, see this bar here? They call this a sickle type bar, where you have 2 blades that go back and forth, which causes the cutting action. Let me zoom in. Now, whoever had this obviously took care of it because there was oil residue along here. So that meant that every once in a while they sprayed this down with a lubricant or something, which is fantastic, because these things last for many, many years if you take care of them. And the key is, because those sickle bars run back and forth, causing the cutting, you have to lubricate in between here. Now, if you spray it down with like a WD-40 or something like that, that helps clean it. It's okay, but WD-40 is really not a lubricant. It's a water displacement formula that does have some lubricating properties. What I like to use for my sickle bar hedge trimmers, I use this 50/50. It's a my homemade lubricants. Now this one here is 50/50. It's automatic transmission fluid and red grease, okay? And you can see what it comes out like. It's thicker than oil, you could see here. And this has nice properties because it tends to stick and it still has enough flow to get in there, but it doesn't, drip off like you use like a 3-in-1 oil, which again, you can use any kind of oil. You can use motor oil, anything to keep those lubricated. But the key is to turn it on its side and lubricate each one of these points here and let the oil drip down. I already lubricated it, but I'll show you here. You just hit a dot here on each one. Let the oil drizzle down. It'll drizzle down into the bar, and then when you run it, it should sound really smooth. Let me show you what this sounds like. Okay, here we have it plugged in, and we're just going to hit the trigger and listen to this. Now, when you run this, you should only hear the motor. If you hear any clacking on your sickle bar, it means it's dry, and you can see the lubricant back there. Don't worry about over lubricating it, because what will happen is it'll, spit off or whatever the case may be when you're using it. But I don't like to use too sticky of a lubricant that when you're cutting, the dirt gets in there and it sticks to it. So I always wipe off the excess oil. But listen to how nice that sounds. So let's give this a shot, because I think this will work. These things very rarely get dull because of the action. So let's give it a shot. Now here's a little trick we all learn when you first start using corded appliances, and that is to tie a little knot around the plug before you put it in, so this way it doesn't pull out every time you stretch it a little bit. But let me show you the cutting ability of this and how quick and easy it cuts. So in closing, I guess we were kind of all over the place today, weren't we? But we'll have a tool restoration again on Wednesday. Hope you have a great Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.